Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports. There's a lot to discuss on the show, but first of all, we really need to send a bit of appreciation to the Pakistan Cricket Board because the National Women's T20 has concluded in spectacular fashion. The tournament was brilliant. We had competitive games. Unfortunately, rain played spoiled sport and the final was washed out and it is now shared between Karachi and Lahore. But nonetheless, I think spectacular tournament organized in the right manner, and like I said that this year it was probably the most competitive National Women's T20 that we've ever seen. Although I still am sad about a couple of things. We needed commentary, we need a bit of glamour more there as well. It shouldn't be a case that the girls are just playing games and we're getting to know the results. So I think that's where the PCB should particularly be focusing on as well. That get commentary in there as well. Get the highlight package and everything that is up to the mark. So we'll talk about that. Then of course it's great to see that investment in the women's cricket is going beyond the national team now. The young under-19 team has also been sent to Bangladesh for a series, although they lost the match, but I think we should never be result-oriented at this level. The first, I think, series when we talk about for them to get international exposure, a lot of these girls first time in under-19 cricket, and this is the real nursery of women's cricket. So I'm glad, and I want this to be a regular feature, not a one-off that you're sending them to Bangladesh. You need to be sending them to, outside Asian countries as well. So they can probably have more of that international exposure and get acclimatized to the conditions. Because we do it with the boys, I think the girls deserve that equal share as well. So we'll talk about that in detail. Then of course we move on and we tell you that today marks a very important day in history as well. On this day in 1999, Pakistan won the famous Chennai Test match where Saklan Mushtaq got the magical figures of 10 wickets, and it was absolutely amazing when you talk about this match. You know, it was all to play for, and this was one of the most historic victories that would go down in history for Pakistan in Test cricket. Although, you don't see Pakistan India in Test cricket anymore, but this was really something that was cherished for ages. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about how times have changed. I mean, there's a very important argument that I have come across when I heard Wasim Akram talking to a couple of people in the ILT20, where he was talking about that concept of workload management. So I want to talk about that as well, how former players tackled that, and there was no such thing. So why now? So we'll talk about that in detail as well. Time now to introduce our guests. First of all, in studios, we've been joined by a sports expert, a regular feature of our program. Rizwan Haider joins us. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed. Thank you for having me.
We've also been joined by sports expert Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum, Ali. How are you?
Walaikum salam, I'm very well.
And we've also been joined by senior sports journalist Saeed Haider. Assalamu alaikum, sir. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm very fine. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Thank you for joining us. Now, of course, before we continue, we've got to tell you about the Sindh Premier League as well. It continues in spectacular fashion. The top four are there as well. The talent of Sindh has gotten another platform to probably showcase their skills. All across Pakistan, players have opted for this league as well. Let's just take a look at the highlights and then we continue.
Top 4 teams who qualified for the next round of Sindh Premier League Season 1 include Hyderabad Bahadurs, Mirpur Khas Tigers, Karachi Ghazis and Larkana Challengers. Benazirabad Lals and Sakkar Patriots are no longer in the contention to qualify for the next round. Hyderabad Bahadurs currently placed at 1, Mirpur Khas Tigers at 2nd, Karachi Ghazis at 3rd, Larkana Challengers at 4th in the points table. The Sindh Premier League qualifiers will be held on February 2nd between top 2 teams of the points table, while Eliminator 1 will be played between the teams who secure the 3rd and 4th position of the league on February 3rd. The second eliminator of Sindh Premier League will be played between the qualifiers runners-up and winners of Eliminator 1 on February 4. The final match will be played on February 5.
And there you have it, all you need to know about the Sindh Premier League. That continues in spectacular fashion. A lot of competitive cricket being played there as well. Now we come back to women's cricket, and like I said, that the National Women's T20 has concluded. It was the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. Unfortunately, couldn't host the final because of the weather in the Twin Cities right now. It's become very pleasant, to be honest. Finally, we have some rain. We had a hailstorm as well, and the hail is the size of golf balls. So everybody was in a bit of trouble there. Hopefully all of you are safe and enjoying the weather. But Rizwan, it's very important because for time and time again, we have stressed the fact that if you don't bring it at par with what you're doing with men's cricket, you won't achieve those desired results. You're going to be putting your efforts in the wrong direction.
Well, on a lighter note, I think we're bringing down the men's level to the women's level these days. But you need to have a plan. I'm very glad that we had this tournament. I'm very glad that the under-19 team has gone to Bangladesh. But as you stated in the opening, that we need to play in Australia, we need to play in New Zealand, England, South Africa. And the most important thing is you have to have a 10, 15, 20-year 20-year plan. You can't have, I mean, if you look at the Olympics, England started preparing for the 2012 Olympics in 1996. You need to have 10-year, 20-year plans, and every year
we're going to come back to that right after this short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and now this is something very interesting, but as PSL comes near, I will be telling you about this. It's something that is very competitive on Sports Extra and with our team as well, and hopefully I can have a bunch of you joining in this bandwagon as well. But credit to Mr. Rizwan Haider for developing all of this nitty-gritty details as well. It's very important to keep us alive and running in this day and age of work routine. So thank you, Rizwan. First of all, credit to you. For creating the competition within the team. So like I said, as PSL comes near, we will be talking about this. But Rizwan, as you were continuing about these tournaments and the way they should be formatted in a way that is not just consistent, but also at par with standards as well.
Well, I've always said that you need to have a 5-year long-term policy, which is a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, and then you revisit it every 6 months and then see where we're going. Are we on track? Are we not? What needs to be done? What needs to be changed? We've always had these series once in a while, and then there's a lean passage of 2 years where nothing happens. Like a couple of years ago, we had this youngsters tournament with Ramiz Raja organized, but after that, there's no follow-up. In order to groom talent, you need to have a proper system where you can have a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year plan, and that is how you'll get hopefully younger players and good women.
Even the concept is one that we've sent the under-19 team. Just don't limit it to only Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Look beyond there.
That's exactly what I started off with. That they need to play in Australia, they need to play in New Zealand, in England, in South Africa, and you need to invite teams from there. It was a very encouraging sign when South African women visited Pakistan. But then Australians need to visit Pakistan, because until and unless you play against better teams, who are better equipped than you, who are better, more talented than you, you're not going to improve. You can keep on playing Nepal and Bangladesh, but that's not it's going to be good exposure, but it's not going to give you growth.
Absolutely. Sir Haider, it was nonetheless a fantastic competitive tournament. But the fact is that, the consistency is required also. Like we said, that it's great to see under-19 teams in Bangladesh, but then you need to make it a regular fixture. I was just observing the South Africa-Australia game as well. Terrific standards there. It was very encouraging to see the South African team touring Pakistan in 2023, and we had a good series of T20s and ODIs. That was competitive, but the fact is that if you've got focus and if there is still inconsistency at the helm of affairs at PCB, women's cricket should be kept as a separate subject and should be invested more than what you're doing right now.
Exactly. I'm in support that women's cricket, they should have a separate board, because in the men's cricket we are seeing that since 3-4 years that there is no inconsistency, and something is really very pathetic in our system, that why the PCB is not on the regular path, and they are changing the chairman and the other officials. They are getting always problems inside, and these problems they are shifting to our men's team also. So I think if we want something better result in women's team, we have to separate a women's cricket board, and they have to get some really good things from the other boards like India or South Africa or Australia, that what they are doing. Simply is that we have to discover the new talent, and we have to apply them in the teams. We have to get regular tournaments. Otherwise, if we will not get the regular tournaments like that, it has been happened right now, we cannot get the real talent in women's team. It's necessary. If you see in England or in India, they are hunting regularly. They are getting new talent in women's team. And our system, our culture is very different from other countries, England, Australia, or India. Therefore, we need some really good support from the system, from the culture, to get the women's cricketers. Otherwise, we cannot get a good team for the international tournaments.
So Haider, you're also observing the European system as well. How important does the role of school cricket become? Because right now what I'm seeing that associate nations, especially European countries, are investing more in school cricket than other countries probably, for example, Pakistan should be doing.
Yeah, Pakistan should do it. In European system, they are investing in school cricket. But what I can see here in Europe, in England or other countries, that they are giving strength to the club cricket. The women clubs are same active like men's cricket, and they are doing the tournaments regularly. Or not only in the England. England is a test playing nation, but in Netherlands or Belgium or in France or Germany, Italy, I have seen that the women's cricket is strong really here. And why the Pakistan, they are not club system is not really proper available in Pakistan. It is due to our system and our culture, absolutely. But something should be done. Something from as the departmental cricket, they has been restored. So they should think about it, that they should have team of the women's cricket also, by which they can get something really in good manners. We can try to get some hints from the European system or Australia or England or India, but we have to do something according to our system in Pakistan. And club cricket will be a very essential thing for the women's cricket. Should think about it, and we have to get it.
Absolutely. Ali Mehdi, how would you highlight this women's tournament, and also at the same time the fact that the under-19 women's team has been sent on a tour to Bangladesh as well?
Look, there's a lot of progression, like your two guests, like both Rizwan Bhai and Sir Heather actually said over here. But the thing over here, I would just have to say is that there has to be more exposure over here. You have to have Australia coming to Pakistan. The big three, have to come. When I talk about Australia, New Zealand, and also England, need to come to Pakistan and need to play competitive cricket too. It's very good that they're having this. At least, we've got the ball rolling when it comes to women's cricket to under 19. This is something which wasn't there about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I certainly don't remember it. So at least there is some improvement. But now we have what we need to need to press on the accelerator over here and make sure that that more emphasis is given over here. The big teams come over here. More exposure is given to these girls, because they've got so much talent over here. And we've seen most recently the senior team went and they won in New Zealand too. And if you can go and win in New Zealand, then then the sky is the limit. So I just feel that it was a successful tournament right now. It was very competitive, but at the same time, you need to have more exposure, and they need to be a lot of emphasis needs to be given on women's cricket. Should it be under 19 and obviously the senior team too? And then for both under 19 and also the senior team, you need the big team to come. You need the Australias, the Englands, and also New Zealand to come. So at least it's a step in the right direction, but still, it's a long way forward.
Well, it certainly is. And like I said, Ali Mehdi, we also need to explore the opportunity of the player exchange. It's very important. In the past couple of years, we've had a handful, only 1 or 2 players that have made it to at least the Big Bash. But now, because we've got a frequency of women's league that are happening, I think that idea should be very, very important. Because if there was ever a need for increasing league cricket, it would probably be on the women's side for us at least.
No, I think so. I mean, I completely agree with you. But the thing is, now you're having like league cricket over here, on the domestic level now. But we need to have a women's PSL over here. I think it's so important. We had last year, we had these 3 fixtures between 2 women's teams, and I thought that was actually, you at least got the ball rolling. But the most important thing is now you need to have play exchange, and you were talking about Big Bash too. Obviously, that women's are actually now going and playing there. But even for the 100 tournament, which happens for men and women, you want to see some women cricketers, Pakistani women cricketers, going and playing in the 100 too, and then obviously in the Big Bash too. And then obviously you have to develop your the women's PSL, because I think that's very important. Once you get exposure in that and do something, what the women's do, the Australian Cricket Board does is, before the series, the Big Bash, they actually have the women's BBL, which finishes in December, and then they have the Big Bash League, which goes right into end of January. So and they give equal sort of footing is given to both these tournaments, because the same pay structure is there. If they can do, if not something similar, but something in the right direction for league cricket, especially for women's over here in Pakistan, then at least I think that we'll be going towards developing a women's cricket structure.
Absolutely. I think this structured approach is very, very important. But at the same time, we also want to congratulate Karachi and Lahore, for being joint winners of this national T20. And also player of the tournament, Gul Feroza and Alia Riaz. Alia Riaz has been superb. I mean, this has been a dream tournament for her as well. Then, of course, best batter has been Sidra Amin, best bowler Ghulam Fatma, and best wicketkeeper Sidra Nawaz. So I think a lot of accolades for these young girls as well. And congratulations to them. There's also a shared bit of experience that has been shared as well with the likes of stalwarts now, including Bisma Maroof, Sidra Amin, Nida Dar, Alia Riaz, Sidra Nawaz, everybody there as well. So once again, congratulations to everybody who's involved. Now we come to a historic, perspective as well. Like I said, that today marks a very important milestone. 1999 is when Pakistan defeated India in that famous Chennai test. And I mean, it was fantastic. Saklan picking up 10 wickets, the spin wizard, and all, the competitiveness of that India-Pakistan test cricket, the real format, and all of us enjoying. I mean, that is something that we truly miss. But Rizwan, nonetheless, that test match went a long way in history books as well.
I mean, lest we forget, that was 25 years ago. That just shows how old we've all become, first of all.
I didn't realize that.
It's the 25th anniversary of that test match. But what an amazing test match. I think if you look at it from actually a proper test match perspective, Pakistan batted first, got 238. We had 50s from Moin Khan and Yusuf Yohana, Mohammad Yusuf for that matter. Kumble picking up 6 wickets, and then India batted. Dravid got 50. We had Saklan picking up 5 wickets, 3 wickets to Shahid Afridi. Wasim Akram got 2. In the second innings, Pakistan, Shahid Afridi got 141, if you remember. I mean,
yes.
Although Sachin got the man of the match, but it was only his second or third test match. He has an amazing record in test match cricket. He's not a test player. Very first test match, he got 5 wickets in the innings.
Australia.
And in this test match, he got 140.
Baz ball before it was invented.
Exactly. So Pakistan conceded a lead of about 15, 16 runs in the first innings. Then Pakistan went on to make 286, thanks to Shahid Afridi, because nobody else got the runs after him. Venkatesh Prasad in the second innings got 6 wickets, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Anil Kumble in the first got 6.
Anil Kumble in the first, and in the second innings, Saklan Mushtaq. It was all over Saklan and Sachin. It was a game of two greats. Sachin, of course, got man of the match. A bit controversial since Pakistan won the match, but what an amazing game! Pakistan winning by 15 runs. It is, I think, one of the greatest test matches that we've ever seen, because it was anybody's game.
Absolutely.
Till the last ball.
I think this test match also goes down in history for probably one of the most finest innings we saw from Moin Khan as well. I mean, that 60 runs really created that platform. Otherwise, Pakistan were crumbling in the first innings. Had it not been for Yusuf, it was a disappointing performance from our batters. Like I said, Anil Kumble picking up 6 wickets. He was a favourite, whenever he was playing against Pakistan. Sir Haider, a historic test match. I'm sure you've got some memories to share as well.
Yeah, exactly. It was remarkable. Pakistan batted well, bowled well, and in the second inning, it was very crucial for both teams that they wanted to win the match, and finally Pakistan got it. And Saklan Mushtaq bowled very well, and I think it was test of patience and some really the effort what they have done it, both teams, Pakistan and India, and especially I'm very inspired from the efforts of the Pakistani fielders in this match in the second innings. They were very much focused to win the match, and Javed Miandad was the coach of that time of the Pakistan team, and he was shouting from the pavilion. And at every ball he was shouting, "Do it, do it, do it." So he was giving some force from outside of the ground, and inside the players, they were doing very well. So I was in aircraft this moment, and the captain of the aircraft, PIS aircraft, I was traveling from Pakistan to Germany, and he was announcing after every wicket when it was down, then he was announcing now 4 wickets to win, now 3 wickets to win, and really in whole aircraft everyone was very much in suspense who will win the match, and finally we have got it. It was a remarkable, memorable match of the Pakistan history, and Pakistan won in India. It's a great win of Pakistan.
Absolutely. I think golden era of Test cricket. Even the subsequent tour of India to Pakistan was absolutely brilliant. We all remember that as well. Ali Mehdi, what would you like to share?
No, regarding this tournament, it was a very significant historical series, because this was the first time in about 10, 11 years that Pakistan was actually playing India in a Test series. Before that, throughout the 90s, Pakistan and India did not have any bilateral test series. So this was a very historic series. And the most important thing about this series that it obviously there was the 2 test matches in which the first with Pakistan by 16, and then who can forget the next test match, in Delhi for controversial reasons. The pitch was dug up, and then Anil Kumble went and got 10 wickets. And then in the Asian Test Championship, which actually followed, Pakistan, who can forget those 2 incredible Yorkers for which Shoaib Akhtar made a name for himself, getting Sachin Tendulkar and obviously getting Rahul Dravid, and then eventually winning it. But I remember one thing I remember about this, I think it's very significant, is that when Pakistan actually won that test match, and Pakistan were actually, the presentation finished, Pakistan actually what they did is that they actually went around the whole ground, and the whole ground was actually clapping for the Pakistani players in Chennai.
The good old days when cricket was cricket.
Then when cricket was cricket, the spirit of the game was amazing back then, that both sets of fans used to love cricket, and at the same time too, you had legends of the game. You're talking about legends on both sides too, and you could say that there was a very competitive rivalry, but at the same time, fans appreciated the opponent's cricket teams.
I think so many golden memories that Ali Mehdi has just brought to life as well. We'll continue after a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and of course we'll talk about this historic test match, but what was great to see that era produced one of the most finest and fittest cricketers for Pakistan. Although that concept, now I'm going to come to that finally before we close the show, of that workload management. And I was just talking to Rizwan, like I told you during that break as well, that Wasim Akram mentioned something very important on the sidelines of T20. He said that Waqar Younis, one of the finest fast bowlers that he has ever seen, he said he used to sprint almost on the side screen, ball all day. The amount of overs in a year he was bowling, playing county championship, playing domestic cricket, everything coupled. He said we didn't even know the terminology of workload management. And now he said that you look at these youngsters, they're not even capable of bowling 4 or 5 overs. Yes.
Me, again. Well, we've spoken about this a lot of times. I think the problem is, the example of Waqar Younis is a very, very good example, because the sort of express pace that he had, and with that, playing seasons and seasons of county cricket for Surrey and Glamorgan as well, I think he played for, but it was basically Surrey. And county cricket really makes you, they pay you well, but they make sure that you go through the grind, bowl 20, 25 overs a day. Test match is 90 overs. In Australia, if you look at it, every bowler bowls about 20, 22 overs a day in a test match, and you need to have 2 or 3 days where you can have that. I don't see any Pakistani bowler bowling at express pace these days. There's nobody who's 140 plus. The only one is Haris, and he's good for 3 overs or so. Shaheen, I'm sorry, your fitness is not good enough. Not playing the Sydney Test is a criminal offence for me, as far as I'm concerned. And workload management for what? For what? A T20 game or PSL or ILT? That is very, very sad. Similarly, these bowlers don't have the staminas to play international cricket. They need to go to first class cricket, start bowling like Mir Hamza, and then come into international cricket. I'm sorry, but I agree with Wasim Akram. The fitness levels are well below par these days.
Absolutely, and I think we'll leave it at that, because that is an argument that requires in-depth discussion, but we'll leave it for another show. But Rizwan, Ali Mehdi and Sir Haider, thank you very much for joining us. That wraps it up from me and the entire team. It's goodbye for now.